DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
All right, we are back. This is session number 3, 2, 4. I think we're 3. We're 3. Trevor West is with me tonight. Good evening, Trevor.
Hi, John. How are you?
I am doing well, doing well. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're going to be at Mobile Beat, as is everybody. It's kind of an interesting month how this has worked out. Everyone's at Mobile Beat.
This is actually my 4th or 5th one this year, and this will be my first time as a presenter.
Nice. Very, very cool. And you're going to be on the schedule twice.
Yep.
So before we get to talking about that, I want to ask you, and this is completely, we didn't talk about this. For someone who has not been there before, you've been there a few times and such, what is the one reason why they should make the trip? Because I've been there for so many times, I've forgotten what it's like before. You know, the world didn't exist for me DJ-wise before, because that was almost 20 years ago.
For me, that statement was 2010. I did not know there was a DJ world until 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I met a guy who lives about 20 miles from here, who was my mentor, that, showed me that, hey, there's a bigger world out there. That's the one thing that DJs who've never experienced that needs to go to an event like Mobile Beat and say, yes, there's a bigger world out there. There's more knowledge than you're going to get in your local market, right? And that's going to make it better for you to expand your clientele list, your networking list, your pay, more than anything else, right?
Yeah.
And you want to draw on that experience and that knowledge and that big, huge networking group that you can pull from that a lot of people don't. That's what a newbie should take going to Mobile Beat.
Cool.
So.
Cool. And I would agree wholeheartedly. And probably the biggest that I could add to that is, when we're working, there's things you're going to learn there, and it's going to increase. Trial and error gets you some knowledge, and doing it every weekend, yada yada. And you can pick up things from watching our shows, but just sitting across from someone and having dinner with them, and all of a sudden, we'll hear something going on over here, and it'll be like, oh, hey, did you know that song that we just heard over here? I use that in this at this whatever, and it becomes this conversation that we can't have, even though this is really cool. So right. Good stuff. Okay, seminars. You're going to be doing 2. Let's talk about the second one first, then we're going to jump back and talk about the first one. So,
okay. So the first one is going to be on photo booths. If you
then we'll talk. Let's talk about the first. We'll talk about photo booth, and then we'll talk about the other one. So
the second one is photo booths. Do it or not to do it.
Yeah.
That's the second one. Excuse me. That's a 45-minute seminar in T5. The room T5 is where I'll be. Okay. The thing with that is I'm going to just kind of cover all the trials and tribulations that I've learned running mine. Normally I have it behind me, but it's in the living room right now, so you wouldn't see it. And I'm not going to tell you whose it is, because it's one of the guys down at Mobile Beat. Anyway. And it's been rock solid. Let me tell you, 5 years going now, it's been pretty solid. But basically what I want to do is I want to show you, what your costs can be, because there's a lot of things they don't tell. Oh, you got to get a photo booth, but they don't tell you what the costs are outside of buying that.
Right.
Okay. It's like the DJ gear. It's like, okay, yeah, you got a controller, you got 2 speakers, and now I can DJ. Well, wait, I need cables, I need power, I need this, I need that, I got to have all this. They don't tell you that when you try to jump into it.
For sure.
Yeah. So we're going to try and cover a lot of that, hopefully in 45 minutes. So, and, just some little tips and tricks, and I've got some bonus tips that'll go in it, and just, a lot of stuff I've learned over the years.
So are you going to be aiming that photo booth session towards more of a person who's looking to maybe get into it, or maybe someone who's just starting it? What kind of an experience level would benefit the most from that session?
We're going to try for the DJ who doesn't have one and is thinking about getting it, or has just dived into it and is still trying to figure out all the little nuances and idiosyncrasies, that kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
And probably wouldn't hurt even for more experienced ones to go back to basics and say, oh, you're right, I should do it that way.
Sure.
So that's what I'm gonna try and cover on the first one.
Very nice. Very nice. So, okay, so that's going to be one. Now, the other one is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be photo booth related.
Well, it is DJ related. No. When I submitted the idea to Ryan, it was kind of one that grew out of an idea of just trolling Facebook.
Okay.
And it's looking at all of these postings that DJs all put out there, and it's just like, why did you do that? Why did that go there? That's that's wrong. That shouldn't be there. You have too much of this, or it's in the wrong spot, or it just did not look right. Okay. And so I'm going to try and touch on certain things that DJs do wrong for hopefully, setups, all those complaints that we see on Facebook about, well, the consultant or the planner put me way over in the corner, well, there's a reason they put you in the corner, because you didn't ask them where to go anywhere else, so stuff like that. We'll see. So hopefully I won't irritate too many people, but I'm sure I will.
So you mentioned social media. You're going to look at some of the things that you've seen there, but are you going to dig into different aspects, maybe like the websites, and talk about that a little bit, or?
No, it's going to really stay with just a smaller section, which is just going to be more gear related and placement and that kind of thing. I'm not really going to touch social media. That's, they're more better experts at that than I am.
Okay.
And I'll let them do those seminars. This is just more of from a low guy on the totem pole, with my experience in my market. And then I look at other people's setups and go, I have the same room in my venue, and I set it up different than you did, and mine were great, and yours did not.
What are some of the common things when you're seeing these pictures of DJ systems that you look at and it just makes you shake your head and thinking that they could have upped their game a lot by doing that differently?
Well, I don't know if I want to tell you too much on that one, because it kind of gives the whole thing away. But I'll tell you one part of it. The first one is, because I think Ryan already posted it on the website, so I can say it anyway, is too much gear, right? DJs love their gear, and they feel that they have to bring every single piece that they own to a wedding, right? If it was a prom or corporate event, something you're doing 5,000 people, yeah, bring everything you got. But for a wedding for 150 people, you don't need it. You don't need 4 quad speakers, 6 top ends, and every single light that they could see from the moon, for a wedding of 150 people. Okay. So that's kind of what we're going to try and touch on the first one.
And last week, Brian and I were talking a little bit about sound systems, and that was one of the areas we were talking about, was having the sound basically that can fill a dance floor area. And it doesn't take, with some of the modern gear, it doesn't take this huge area,
right?
Like it did at one time.
Yeah, because a lot of the newer speakers nowadays, you get more sound output for a smaller footprint. I mean, if you see, I don't know if you can see the 2 8s I have in the back here, right? Those are alto 8-inch speakers. I use those a lot of times for ceremonies.
Sure.
Because I don't need bigger than that. Okay. And they work great. I get the job done, and it's an easy setup and tear down. In fact, that's kind of my ceremony system right above it.
The amplifier for it and such.
No, that's not the amplifier. That's the only thing that you don't see is a monitor, but the entire computer, mixer board, wireless microphone is in that little DJ console right there.
Yeah, it's a little dark. It's tough to tell exactly.
Kind of hard to see, but yeah. So that's my ceremony system.
So over the years, as you have been a performer and you've been going out, I mean, we've all wanted to bring that this system and such. Have you ever found a time where you've had a client look at yours and you're like, wow, this is going to be way too loud or way too left or right? And
no, I would say I've never had a client actually tell me that they thought it would be too loud. Only because the fact is, and it's one of the points I'll bring up in the seminar, is we do walkthroughs. Okay? For at least all my weddings. I don't care if I've been to that venue 50 times a month. I still do a walkthrough with my client because my clients have not been there 50 times a month. Okay. So it's, it's important, I think, to, if it's a venue you've been to, yeah, you don't have to dive into it as much. But if it's a venue you've never been at, then you definitely need to do a walkthrough.
Yep.
Okay. Because I don't like surprises, not at weddings, especially when I'm in charge of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to know where's the power cords, where's the power plugs.
Right.
Wait, you're putting me on the stage? No, I don't want to be on the stage. That's the bride and groom. Put them on the stage. I want to be over in the corner somewhat, Yeah. So you have to do that kind of stuff so you don't post those complaints of, the coordinator put me in the corner again. So, but I have a statement on that, but I want to save that for Mobile Beat.
Sure.
So I want to give that part
Yep.
away,
No problem. Yeah. They're talking about the small footprint with the speakers and the smaller micro systems, which are becoming so popular. Again, as we talked about in the other show last week, is the ability. I think someone mentioned that they can throw everything in their small vehicle up here. Someone was talking about that. And yet we still can go to weddings in our local market, and I'll find someone who has pulled in with a U-Haul trailer full of gear for a 75-person wedding. And
there's a couple of those guys in our market too. And they bring a 18-wheeler for, a small room smaller than my office.
Yeah.
Kind of the scenario. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to try and give away a couple of things at Mobile Beat. One of them might be a pair of these things. So if you haven't seen these before, I'm going to give a couple of these away.
LED glass.
Yeah, they're cool, aren't they? So I'm gonna say I don't, because being the little guy on the totem pole this year, I'm not doing a book. There's no pamphlets being sold. I'm not sending you to any marketing website or anything like that. It's just the first one is just kind of be more of an observation. I just want to get DJs to think about doing something different with their setups.
Yep.
Okay, and think about, if you don't do walkthroughs, the biggest question is why not? Because there's guys even I've trained under in our market that one of the guys, and I won't name him because he doesn't go to Mobile Beat, but I remember I was doing a photo booth with him at a wedding, and I remember him walking up to the bride and groom and go, "Hi, my name is so-and-so. I'll be your DJ for today." And that just blew me away. It's like, wait a minute, you're meeting the bride and groom the same day of the wedding. And this was just like right after the ceremony for the start of the reception. That's when he met them for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That just blew me away. I'm like, whoa, why? I would have had a walkthrough. I would have done 3 planning sessions. I asked him later, I said, why do you do that? Why do you do that? And he says, because the coordinator does everything.
Yeah.
And, I thought about that one and I went, well, to me, if the coordinator is doing your job, that means 2 things. You're lazy and you don't care about your clients. That was the 2 biggest things I pulled away from that whole thing, is you're lazy and you don't care about your clients if you let some coordinator do your job for you. So.
See, what you're describing, what he did was very, very common back in the early 90s, early to mid 90s, because at that time, very few DJs knew better.
Right.
And that's what we did. I mean, if for those of you who were DJing back in the time, you probably experienced this too. We would arrive, the dance would, in this Midwest, the dance goes from 8 to 12. We'd arrive at 6:30. They're eating. Just as they finish eating, we'd start dragging gear through the crowd and be ready to go at 8 o'clock. That was acceptable. That's the way. And even today, I have had brides. I had a communication with a bride today, and she was good with that. She's like, "Yeah, will that save me a couple $100?" Huh? Because if it does, you can bring your stuff in. We don't. It's on the end of the room, and you won't bother us.
Now, the way I do my pricing, I set it up so, because I don't charge for setup and tear down. Mm-hmm. Okay, you get a not gold package. If you pick one of my packages, that's the price you make. I figure for myself, that's just my own opinion and everything. is the setup and tear down is part of the price.
Yep.
If I'm doing ceremony on top of that, then I adjust that package accordingly.
Right.
But for the most part, yeah, I'm usually there 2.5 hours. I prefer to be set up before any guest arrives. Okay, because that gives me time to test, make sure the microphones are working, I've got sound, everything's covered, we're good to go. That's how I perceive it, So that's just me.
Yeah, for sure.
Other guys do that too, But so photo booths, yeah. Hopefully, if you guys don't have a photo booth, definitely mine will be a good one to come in, because I'm going to try and cover everything, the basics, basic stuff that you would need to get. A lot of good tips and tricks to think about, and how much it's going to cost you to buy all this stuff.
Right. Yeah, and that's definitely part of it, and the labor of running it and such. There's just so many little nuances.
Yeah, because it's because I'm just a single op, so it's just I have myself and I have a friend who is my assistant, and that's it. It's just the two of us.
Right.
So we have to do everything. I'm CEO to janitor and everything in between.
Yeah, I know how that is. I definitely know that's the way my DJ business has become over the years. And there's the good side and there's the bad side.
Yeah, the bad side is you have to do everything, but the good side is you also get all the profit.
Yeah, and you don't have to depend on someone else, and they drop the ball.
Correct.
And that's a huge one. And then we get back. That takes us back to our very first speaker tonight, Matt Radicelli, who last year talked about managing his team and had a wonderful presentation dealing with that.
That is a tough one to do, is finding the right person. Even if you're a single op, is just if you're married, you get your wife to help you do it, but she doesn't want to do it all the time.
Yeah.
So you got to get somebody who is willing to do it. Fortunately, my friend, he's always willing to do it because he needs the money. So
yep, and that's not a bad thing sometimes, as long as they're reliable.
He's really good. He's pretty reliable. So
good stuff. Trevor, if people want to get in touch and ask some questions, especially with the photo booth side, as they're kind of looking into it, and you've been digging into that for a little while, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
They can just email me at trevor@dancingtunes.com. It's DANCINTUNES.com.
That sounds great. Gang, we're going to be bouncing on here, and I'll be back in about 10 minutes. I've got to run in and go. My daughter's having a little bit of a birthday party, so I'm going to go and take a couple of minutes to go in and
We didn't get no cake?
We didn't. That's what they were just messaging me, that the cake is in there. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes tonight with our final, actually, show 4 of our 5 tonight. Goodness, it's a long night. So
5, yes.
Everything, links are down below. You can catch that. We'll be back with Jason Malden in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you, John. Thank you.